Well, good evening. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting for Greeley Evans School District 6. On this, the 11th day of December, 2023, this meeting will now come to order. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Lemon, will you please call the roll for us?
Director Azari.
Present.
Director Bentley.
Present.
Director Campos-Spitzy.
Present.
Director Mash.
Present.
Director Matthews.
Present.
Director Norwood.
Present.
Director Sullivan. 6 board members present.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Well, again, welcome to our Board of Education meeting. This is the 11th of December, so we are into the Christmas season and into exam season as well. And so Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you for being here in person, or if you're catching this online. And first, just want to clarify a few things for people who do tune in sometimes and want to say welcome to Mr. Doran Azari. You'll see him sitting over to my left this way. He's our newest board member elected, and he was installed since our last board meeting. And also want to say congratulations to Miss Natalie Mash. She is our new vice president, and because of those changes in seating, you will see several board members sitting in different seats. And so just wanted to let you know that's why that happened, and say congratulations to both of them. Also congratulations to Dr. Campos-Spitzy, who also won re-election. Do want to let you know, we have a great meeting tonight. We do have some great things around student achievement and the different plans that our different schools are on. And also want to let everyone, update everyone on, we had an audit earlier today. Well, the audit wasn't today, but we received the audit today as a board in our work session. That audit was a clean audit, or as they say, an unmodified opinion. So that's exactly what we're looking for every time. That's exactly what we get pretty much every time. And so want to congratulate Mandy Hydock and Megan Sponsler and the entire finance team to do such an outstanding job for us. And one of the words that we also are looking for whenever we get an audit and receive this time as well is just boring. And so it was a boring audit, and we appreciate that very much. Just to let you guys know, there are a few things, not as many. You can definitely catch a lot of concerts this week at our high schools, at middle schools, but you can also, the CTE Center has an open house December 14th. That's from 5 to 6:30 at, the address is 1420 2nd Street. So if you don't know what our CTE Center is, it is something houses several of our CTE programs. It was built as part of this bond issue. And so you can, for the first time, I think this is the first time that the public in general has been invited to see that CT Center. And you can see all the different programs like welding and cosmetology and cybersecurity and the different things that we offer at that CT Center. So that again is December 14th from 5 to 6:30. And finally, just want to say thank you to our students and to our teachers. We know we are into exam season and the final stretch before Christmas. And to our students, just hang in there, study hard, and we know you have exams coming up. To our teachers, hang in there also. We know this is a tough but great stretch also. So that's all I've got tonight, and we'll move on to our approval of the agenda.
I move that the Board of Education of Greeley Evans School District 6 approves the agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Azari.
Aye.
Director Bentley.
Aye.
Director Campos-Spitzy.
Aye.
Director Mash.
Aye.
Director Matthews.
Aye.
Director Norwood.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Well, we're now to our board member comments and reports. And since we have shuffled our chairs a little bit, I'll just start. Well, hey, what? We'll start with Mr. Norwood. How about that?
That sounds good. Thank you. We had the opportunity to go to CASB last week in Colorado Springs. It was very productive. we had a chance to work all day Wednesday as a group with Brett Miles and get on the same page so that we're all looking forward to the rest of the school year and working together. And there was a keynote speaker, and I remember texting my wife and saying, there's a lady that she wrote a book, and there was a movie, it was called Homeless to Harvard. And she was probably one of the most phenomenal speakers that we've ever had the opportunity to enjoy there. So it was a great 3 or 4 days at Casby, and it's nice to get back and get to work.
Thank you, Mr. Norwood. Dr. Campos-Spitzy.
Yeah, so before Casby, we did get to do a ribbon cutting at Heath Middle School for their new addition that filled in that horseshoe. And that was a wonderful event. The principal there, Don Kruger, spoke and just gave some really heartfelt remarks about the gratitude the middle school students felt and almost the disbelief, but just feeling appreciated by the community. She told her students in the building, this renovation, this remodel, and this addition is a gift from the community to you guys. And they were like, for us? And anyway, the way she put it, it was so beautiful, and just what a tangible way for our kids to know that we appreciate them and that we want them to succeed. And Casby was wonderful, just like Rob Norwood just mentioned. Liz Murray was that phenomenal speaker. I bought her book. It's called Breaking Night, if anybody wants to go check that out at the library. She was an amazing speaker. And the Wednesday session that Rob referred to with Brett Miles, he led us through some team building activities revolving around respect. And I really appreciated that. He reminded us that not a single one of us sitting up here has gotten 100% of the vote, and that we all represent our community, and we have a diverse community, and that we need to be able to work together and communicate together with dignity and respect. And I really took that to heart, and I think he's 100% right. So also looking forward to the next year, working well together with the other elected officials who sit beside me. Other things that I took from Casby, we are a very large school district. So there's 178 school districts in the state of Colorado, and we're the 13th largest, which, like, I've heard that statistic, but it's not until you're sitting at a table with other school board directors having these small group discussions during these workshops. And, we go around and introduce ourselves, and people talk about their school district, and they say things like, in my school district, in Mesa, there's about 500 students, and somebody else, I'm like, total? And they're like, yeah. And another person at the table is like, we have 800. And I was like, oh goodness, we have 22,000. So it just really highlighted that we do stand out in Colorado for how large of a school district we have and how many kids we're responsible for. Other things, let's see. We've talked about the inspirational speakers. Another a keynote speaker that we had during the conference did highlight some common threads that all of the school districts, not just in Colorado, but across the country are dealing with. And one of those things is the teacher shortage that you guys have heard us talk about time and time again. But talking about possible solutions to that, and looking at our employees, our teachers, as customers more than employees. And that's just kind of the way things are going in today's day and age. And then reframing the narrative of the teacher. I think, we often say teachers are overworked and underpaid, because we do believe that. But if we can change the narrative to make teaching an attractive profession again, so that our high school students, as they're looking into college and what degrees and what careers they'll follow, that it will look like an attractive option again. They highlighted things like the mental health crisis affecting our youth, which is something, again, nationwide, and the need to create safe spaces at school through social emotional learning in order for our students to succeed academically. That was actually one of the main things that Liz Murray spoke about. But yeah, I just got to go to a lot of informational workshops, Policy 101, Educational Accountability 101. So today we're going to touch more on that as a group. and just feel really privileged to have been able to soak in all that knowledge, to hear from seasoned school board directors. There's people who've served on school boards for even longer than Terry Pappas. There was a gal there who I think had served for 20 years who spoke at one of my workshops. And so I just really feel like a novice and feel privileged to be able to learn from people who've been doing this job a lot longer than me. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the school year.
Thank you, Dr. Campos-Spitzy. Mr. Azari.
Thank you, President Matthews. It's an honor to continue my service to the school district, and I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. I was sworn in on November 30th, so these last couple of weeks I've been spending a lot of my time reading, listening, and talking to a lot of people, hundreds of people I feel that I've spoken with, including down at CASB. I'm proud that the first event that I had the opportunity to attend as a new school board member was when I took up Denise Ford. She's a choir director at Franklin. She invited me to come to the Franklin concert. And that's one of the schools that I spent time teaching at. I spent about 20 years at Franklin Middle School, and it was great to come back to that school and listen to the concert and see the student engagement and see how well they performed, to see the new addition to the office, and to see the stage, which I worked on for so many years. I'm proud to say that the stage finally has light, and it has sound, and it has air conditioning, and it has heat. That would have been an amazing opportunity back then. I also have the honor, thanks to my wife, who put in a silent auction bid to direct the Greeley Central Orchestra this week. She did this before I had even thought about running for the school board back in the past winter. And so I'll be on stage Wednesday night at 7 if anybody wants to come there to see me conduct Sleigh Ride again. So I'd like to just give a shout out to all the music teachers, all our school staff, all of them, for helping bring joy to our kids, our families, and our community during this time of year. Our kids' lives are inside the halls of our buildings, inside those classrooms, and this is a special time of year, and our staff and our music folks and all those folks help make it a special place for them as they venture out onto the holiday break. As for CASB, I just want to say that it was great to have an opportunity to work alongside my fellow board members, to get to know you better. A lot of respect for the folks up here. And it was also great to see the students participating in the conference down there as well. I'm very proud to represent this school district. We're doing some great things up here in Greeley. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azari. Mr. Bentley.
You guys have a way of making me feel underprepared, but I did do a couple things. I didn't type them up or present it quite as fluently and elegant as you two, but I also was able to attend Heath ribbon cutting on 11/29. It was nice to finally see the school finished. We went there for the beam topping a while back, and you could kind of just see the mess and the ruckus it caused for the students and staff, and so you could kind of see all of them breathing a lot easier as the smiles on their faces, and as they was talking about the school. The students actually led the tours, and they were really proud of the new part of the building. I think they said multiple times that it felt like a hospital to them because it was so clean. So we clarified a hospital in that sense was a good thing for them. So they're very happy, and they were just beaming, and it showed in their tour and their excitement. So that was really fun to be able to attend that. I was able to attend the Common Grounds coffee that the Chamber of Commerce does here. The Chamber of Commerce is really big in our community with the small businesses, and they do a lot to support the school district. Sometimes I attend with Michael as once in a while as board members, but most of the time as a small business owner and a community member. So they always do a great job keeping the community updated. This time we actually did a review of the special legislative session and look forward to 2024. So just nice to get that. Nate is usually our main source of info, at least mine for that. And so just to hear some more of that wasn't directly just school related, but business, small business, growth, housing, all those things that will tie into school indirectly somehow. So that was really valuable. And then CASB is always valuable to the this is my third year now, so I can skip the 101s usually and go on to something that I have maybe a little more interest in. I attended one session on charter school issues just to make sure that there wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It seems like there's some problems maybe with the universal pre-K stuff with some litigation stuff that was way over my head. So I can't tell you I got a whole lot out of it, but I know there's something there that we probably ought to pay attention to, and I know Nate's way ahead of me on that. So other than that, there was just the keynote speakers this year were outstanding. Probably maybe I think we'd all agree maybe the best that we've ever seen there. So at least personally for me. So it was a good time. The work session was very valuable just to kind of sit in a room for 6-8 hours with everybody and really just discuss feelings and just where we're at and going forward in the new year. So appreciate you guys all for being there. That was very valuable to me. So just looking forward to the remainder of the year, and just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year before I go.
Thank you, Mr. Bentley. Ms. Mash?
Yes, it was very, I guess maybe a little bit bittersweet to have the last ribbon cutting. It is truly mind-boggling all of the ways that the bond measure has ended up in affecting each and every student in our district. And so pleased. That's one of the things I'm most proud about District 6, and thankful to our community for believing that we would spend those dollars in the appropriate way. And the way the stock market has worked out, it's gone even further than we thought. So congratulations to the Heath Panthers and their new space as well. CASB was a great opportunity to reconnect with recommit to each other, to our board, to have open and honest conversations and to show mutual respect. And I am really encouraged and think we're going to do great work moving forward. I think kind of a theme that came out of some of the speakers was just the relational aspect of education and how that it cannot be understated, the importance of the relationships built between teacher and student and other adults in the building. And I'm so thankful that we've gotten to know our CSR students. I got to have breakfast with them and hear about their time at CASB, and I look forward to hearing your official report. But I think we do a great job of establishing those relationships in District 6, and I guess that'd just be my encouragement, just of how much that means. That's what we hear from our students of what's really important. So just like to offer up some encouragement to the seniors. I have a senior, and it just seems like there's a new deadline every 2 weeks on top of maybe finals and projects and concerts. So you got it. You can do it. Keep it up. But make sure you rest this coming break. So happy holidays to everyone, and please do take time to recoup a little bit.
Thank you, Ms. Mash. And I don't have a lot to add to those comments. Just on that Heath ribbon cutting, I don't know how many times I was asked this fall, what's going on at Heath? What's happening at Heath? Because it was clearly a big project, and a lot of the reason that it was a big project is because creating a safe and secure entryway at Heath was more difficult than it was at other schools. And so it's just a great chance as we talk about Heath to say thank you again first to our safety and security team who are here tonight and who work so hard to make our students and our districts safe each and every day. So we appreciate you, but also say thank you to our voters for making every school more safer and more secure. Every school, we're not completely done. We do have some schools that have yet to have that safe and secure entryway. But by this time next year, by the start of 2024, every school is going to have a safe and secure entryway, so that there's 2 points of access when you go into a school, that our office staff see exactly who's entering a school. And so that bond issue is responsible for that. It makes me as a parent feel safer about my kids and where they go to school. And so just want to thank the community again for that. Want to thank our board members also for CASB. It is a very valuable time. It is a great, time-wise, it's great for new board members that Mr. Azari got great training before he ever had this meeting. And that's probably why they time it when they do. It is also a difficult time for for pretty much anyone to leave town and get away. And so thank you to all of you for making that time and for being there at CASB those 3 days, 4 days. So that is all that I have, and we're on to our work session report. Ms. Lemon.
The work session began with a review of upcoming meetings and events. Committee assignments and board member ambassador assignments were reviewed. Clifton Allen Larson LLP presented information about the annual audit, and the meeting concluded with the opportunity for board members to debrief the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Now we have our Council of Student Representatives report. And as has been mentioned, our students, Council of Student Representatives or several of them were at CASB with us. And I do think they are here tonight, some of our officers, to present and talk about their experience at CASB. So without further ado, I will turn it over to you guys.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Lulia Tekla, and I'm a senior at Greeley Central High School, and I hold the position of Secretary for D6 CSR. I had the distinct pleasure of attending this year's CASB conference, which is the Colorado Association of School Board Conference. And in this conference, I was able to meet with many other students from the different districts in the state. And I was also able to attend a TED Talk with the keynote speaker being Alex Sheen. In this TED Talk, Sheen discussed the importance of our word. Through various examples, use of storytelling, laughter, and tears, he was able to convince me how important our word is, especially when given to others and followed through. Our ability to keep our word and stay honest to the promises we make has a meaningful impact on our legacy, our community, and our relationships. District 6 serves and educates around 20,000 students, as Dr. Brenda said, 22,000 students, and has a reputation to fulfill the promise for education and opportunity. I have been a D6 student all my life, and for me personally, the promise for education and opportunity is held to a highest priority. When discussing and listening to other students in different districts, I had this overwhelming feeling of gratitude for the district that my siblings and I attend. Many concerns that I heard from other students surrounded the lack of opportunity, voice, and connection to the school board and in their educational journey. I am grateful for the opportunity to be a student voice in district discussions, whether that be through SHAC or CSR, and I believe that my school does a great job of celebrating, encouraging, and providing opportunities for its students. Central staff and student body creates an environment where students can thrive through academics, passions, and personal growth. And I believe that this is rooted in the fact that students that attend feel celebrated and cared for. I love this about Greeley Central High School, and it all boils down to the work that the school board does and to the promises it makes and fulfills, such as the bond, giving a raise to bus drivers so that students are ensured transportation to and from school, starting a bilingual elementary to support students of different backgrounds, and other commitments. Your priority of students' education through safety, inclusion, and persistence to provide has made for an extraordinary district community, and it is not going unnoticed. It shows in everything you do. The CASB conference allowed me to share and connect with other districts, but also see how my own is thriving and providing for students. The other officers will go more into detail, but as long as we as a district continue to make and keep our word, we will continue to connect and inspire through education and opportunities. The values ingrained into the district community and environment has cultivated brilliance within its students. As Alex Sheen summarized in his TED Talk, our word is as good as our ability to keep it. Thank you for the work that you do, your commitment to education and to students. Once again, if it wasn't emphasized enough, I am so grateful to say that I am a part of District 6.
Good afternoon, President Matthews, board members, and Dr. Pilch. As you know, my name is Natalie Loaiza Valenzuela, a senior from Early College Academy. I have several positions in CSR. I am the communication specialist, the treasurer, and the permanent student voice representative on the board. This year, I had the privilege of attending the Colorado Association of School Boards convention known as CASB Convention. If you were to ask me what I learned, it would honestly be a reflection of gratitude I have for being a part of District 6. At CASB, we went through workshops that allowed us the opportunity to start discussions with students from other districts here in the state of Colorado. Not only did we share things that helped us learn from one another, but it helped me value the actual attentiveness District 6 has for students. The main thing I kept going back to when talking with these students about District 6 was the fact that our superintendent and board members decided to allow students to advocate for themselves while hearing and taking into account our opinions. As I kept talking to the students, I found that they struggled a lot with figuring out a way to express their needs to a board due to lack of a platform in which to communicate. But unlike District 6, it's known and shown that our district puts our students first and genuinely cares because their main goal is to embrace that all means all. Another thing I found so unique and remarkable about District 6 is the fact that our district has so many opportunities for students to help them become career ready. From things like the paid summer internship program that hosts more than 150 students, to the CTE Center with several different career pathways, to dual enrollment with Ames Community College for college credit, to even the Council of Student Representatives. It made me realize that District 6 once again proves itself different from all other districts through its thoughtfulness of its students and always thinks of what they can do to help them in the long run. With that being said, I also learned valuable things that could help our district continue to thrive in the sense of having even more student participation at board meetings across all ages. One of the students mentioned how hard it is for students to advocate for themselves because they don't necessarily know who their board members are and don't feel a connection to the board. And so that made me think of why it's so important for a board to be active in schools and let families know that their role is important because our board truly makes a difference in our community and the kids of the future. So, as I conclude, looking back to not only CASB but the past 12 years of my life, being a part of District 6, I want to say thank you. Thank you for advocating for students and also helping shape the person I am today. And it's with great privilege that I say that I am part of District 6.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us your time to be able to listen to us. Hope everyone has had a good day so far. My name is Richard Freddy Alani Acanto, and I am a senior at Union Colony Preparatory School and the Vice President for Council of Student Representatives. And for this 83rd Annual Colorado Association of School Boards Conference, for the Student Strand Leadership Program, I had the blessed opportunity and privilege to be one of 11 students that had helped plan the event as part of the Student Leadership Planning Team. We would first meet in May of this year over Zoom, and then starting in August, we would meet every other Tuesday for an hour and a half. I cherish those moments for what it was, since the overall synergy of our team grew to be really positive, and I have been able to build good relationships through it. Through our collaboration as a team, we were able to proudly welcome 184 students to the Student Strand Leadership Program. According to others, it was a successful event. And I agree, our adult sponsors ecstatically said that it had gone very well in comparison to previous years. One story and observation I want to share with everyone here today was at the very beginning of the program. This year, like many others, to hit off the program, we held an active and friendly scavenger hunt competition on who could take the best photos around several locations. Each student planning leader was split into groups of 16, and once I got with my group, we wandered around at first to get some ideas, and then after 10 minutes of walking around, I heard one of the students in my team recite an awesome idea about recreating the Titanic scene near a lake. Although, when she shared it, she only shared it to the people near us, with me being one of them. A lot of our group was mainly focused on walking around to get ideas, so naturally, a majority of the group didn't listen. So as the leader of my group, once we reached a stopping point, I was able to get everyone's attention and say that someone had an idea. As they shared, everyone agreed it was a great photo idea. The photo would turn out great, and this led my team to win the friendly competition between the 11 other teams. I believe this example of collaboration compares to an aspect we have here in our school district. Through the help and support you, as members of the board, give students a way to collaborate together, we are able to move forward and thrive as a community together. I hope that other students across our Colorado school districts are able to receive those same opportunities like we have here with CSR and other examples. what I believe is really cool that blows my mind a little is that in this week, students and school personnel all across our state are now taking action towards better collaboration in their districts to solve issues big and small to make the better community that we all deserve to be a part of.
Hello, board. Once again, I am Reagan, a senior from Greeley Central and president of CSR. When discussing what each of us wanted to bring back to the board during this presentation, I knew I wanted to touch on the greatness of our district. At the CASB convention, we were able to connect with students from other districts in Colorado, as you heard, getting to know what education is like in other parts of the state. After hearing from both students and other board members, I want to say that I am incredibly grateful to be a part of this district. It is a privilege to have so many opportunities here that other districts may not be fortunate enough to have. One particular opportunity I want to highlight is your willingness to listen to students. The fact that we are able to sit with you on all of the board, on the board during these meetings is incredibly important, especially after hearing that not all students receive the opportunity to have their voices heard so consistently. During our discussions with other districts, we got to have brags about our district to share with other students so that they could take those ideas back with them to implement in their own schools. Not only did I mention our ability as students to sit with the board and share our input, but I also highlighted our district's cultural assemblies and the Council of Student Representatives. When sharing our takeaways after discussion, many students told me that these 3 things would be ideas they want to take back to their districts. I mentioned our cultural assemblies since I wanted to emphasize the diversity we have in District 6 and the fact that each of our cultures here can be well represented and highlighted. And I mentioned our Council of Student Representatives to present the cooperation we have with the school board and the importance of having students from each school come together. Most students cannot believe we have a district club that interconnects each of our schools, so it was really great to see that this was something they thought was particularly significant. We all want to thank you so much for the opportunities you give us and the amazing district you all provide. District 6 is definitely the place to be.
Well, thank you guys so much. And I will say, we may have some other questions coming from board members, but I just want to say we've done this for about a year, maybe a little over a year, that we've had students sitting with us at the up here, and you guys make such an impact, and we really appreciate your voice and that you take the time to do this, to go to CASB and to get that kind of training that you can get, leadership training that you can get there, but just that you take the time to be here it's not each and every Monday night, but every other Monday night, essentially, that we know that you guys have a lot that you do, that you're not, you don't just go to school and go home at 3. I imagine each of you is involved in, and I've heard you talk about your involvement and to the degree to which you're involved. So thank you. Thank you for making the time for us and making our district better. We certainly appreciate it. And looks like first we have Mr. Bentley, who has a question or a comment.
Richard, I got a question for you real quick. It was nice to see you this weekend. I'm a little confused. You said your name was Richard, but you're wearing a jacket that says Michelle, so I was wondering if you could explain that.
I bought this at a yard sale and I really like the colors, so. And it's a nice jacket. I'm really warm, so.
Good enough.
We were thinking Michelle was your girlfriend.
No. But yeah, that's cleared up.
Dr. Campos Spitzy.
So my comment was for Richard as well, but not about your jacket. Just thank you for describing how much extra time it took for you to be involved in the leadership part of the student leadership strand. Remind me, how many students participated this year?
We had 184 students, and that's off the regular 100 or so students. So it was a big year. It was a big year this year.
Yeah. So you helped plan a conference for 184 fellow students, and it sounds from the discussions that were had, amongst the students that participated, it sounds like it was very worthwhile, your efforts. And yeah, I was like, wow, an hour and a half of time every other week to meet with the other leaders who put this workshop together over several days. It was like more than one day event. So yeah, kudos to you for putting that work in, and sounds like a lot of people benefited.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much.
Mr. Azari.
No questions, just a comment as a new school board member and a new member going down to the CASB convention. It was really, really great to see you guys down there in your leadership. It really is important. And your stories that you tell other students as you continue on through the rest of this year, share with them some of those insights that you have so that we can continue these traditions moving forward. So thank you so much for your time.
I think those are all the comments that we have for you guys tonight. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for serving in so many different ways, so consistently. We appreciate you very much. I should mention, I should mention Reagan and Natalie are the ones serving with us tonight. I failed to introduce you originally, so thank you. Moving right along to our next on our agenda is our superintendent's honor roll and then our superintendent's report. So Dr. Pilch, I will give it to you for your report.
Thank you, President Matthews. We have one honor roll honoree tonight. I'd like to invite Ms. Avery Sleeman and internship, apprenticeship, career pathways extraordinaire, Mr. Nelson, to come up to the podium. And I'm going to talk about you a little bit, Avery, and then we're going to give Mr. Nelson a chance to say something if there's something, and give you a chance if you'd like to share as well, okay? So Avery graduated last May of 23 from Northridge High School. She is our second District 6 student to complete the Vestas Apprenticeship. This is a program that started in 2018, and the program requires 2,000 hours of on-the-job training and the completion of 144 hours of related coursework. And Avery has completed all of that coursework through concurrent enrollment at Ames Community College. And as I understand it, last year when she was finishing up her apprenticeship, coming into the final hours, which she finally finished here this fall, a typical day for Avery, she's a senior at Northridge High School. She's attending school full-time in the morning, goes home, does a little bit of homework, takes a nap for about an hour, and then would go over to Vestas and work at Vestas Blades in Windsor, where she worked a 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift. And then a few hours later, after she got a few hours of sleep, she was back at school again at Northridge High School. And we're just so proud of Avery. She told me before the meeting tonight that she is still working at Vestas, but I understand you're planning to go on and continue your higher education as well. I hope you're going to become an educator. I heard there's a rumor of that you might be an educator. Woohoo! Yes. And Avery, I want to tell you what Jason Balke, the supervisor you had at Vestas Blades, said. He said, I'm really impressed with Avery's perseverance. And he said, what you have done is a pretty challenging thing to ask of anyone, let alone a young woman who is still in high school and just graduating. So congratulations to you, Avery. You make us very proud here in District 6 that we have an opportunity to honor you and recognize you as one of the superintendent honor roll honorees. So I want to let Ms. Rodriguez, if you have anything you want to share and that I missed, perhaps, and then Avery, I want to let you talk for just a moment, and then I'm going to present you with a certificate. Okay?
Well, good evening, Dr. Pilch, President Matthews, members of the board. We really are excited and proud to celebrate Avery. You did a great job, Dr. Pilch, summarizing this apprenticeship program. The only thing that I would want to add to that is that in the last few years, we've had dozens and dozens of students that start this program. But as Dr. Pilch just described, it really is a significant time commitment where individuals like Avery commit to completing 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. For someone who is still in school and working part-time, that is a significant amount of time and commitment. So Avery here was also part of the STEM Academy at Northridge. As part of her senior capstone project, she related that back to the wind blades and her time at Vestas. And so she has really taken this experience on and made the most of it. Over the last few years, we've had a lot of students start this program, but we've only had 2 students complete it. And Avery's the second person to complete this program. We're really proud. And just last week, we were able to have a small luncheon with her family and some of her colleagues at Vestas just to celebrate this accomplishment. So Avery, I also just want to say congratulations and kudos to you. And I want to pass the mic over to you if you have any words to share.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who was able to support me during this time. Thank you to the board for this opportunity. It was really special to me, and I'm pretty sure everyone who has the chance to take it on, even if they don't finish it, it teaches you a lot of life lessons and experiences that are really special to a 17-year-old. And you get to carry that with you for the rest of your life. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to my family and everyone who was there to support me through that journey.
Avery, would you like to introduce your family who's here tonight?
Sure. So I have my sister, my grandma, and my grandpa. My grandpa works at Vestas, so it was nice to work with him for the short while that I did until I switched to nights. But yeah.
Okay, President Matthews, for my superintendent's report, I have 3 items tonight. First, I want to just echo some of the comments about the Colorado Association of School Boards conference this past week. First, to thank all of you who gave up time from your lives, your families, your work, to be there and to come and learn and work and really thrive there. There's so much to learn and so much expertise in each of those rooms when we get together with other superintendents and school board members. So thank you to all of you for that significant commitment. I think it's going to make a big difference in our work going forward. And then I want to thank the students, each of you who participated. You too came away from your lives, away from school and away from home, and took a chance on us. And a couple of you have been down there before, but a few of you had never been down there and you didn't know what you were facing. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your wise words. You each gave us, a huge snapshot of what you experienced and how you feel about the district in 3 minutes each. So great job. I'm just so proud of all of you and feel honored to know you each a little bit. Really am privileged to have that honor, so thank you. I also want to give a shout out to the school administrators who hung out with you all for that couple of days down there. So we have a couple of our assistant principals who also gave up time and came away from their job to help with the students and help lead down there. Mr. Jim Butterfield, assistant principal at Greeley Central High School, and Miss Victoria Leonard, assistant principal at Greeley Central High School. So thank you to you all for helping out with the students and committing to our students so they could have this experience that they had. And then I want to just end with an announcement of our first principal hire of the year for next school year. And so Nydia, would you please stand? I'd like to recognize you. As you all know, tonight on the consent agenda is the approval of hiring of Nydia Martinez Caro. And Nydia is no stranger to District 6. She has been with us here as an assistant principal at Maplewood. And so that's a significant loss to them to have her leave to go to our new James Madison Pre-K-8 STEAM Academy. And as you all know, we've had an interim in there. Ms. Nelson has been serving, and so we've hired Nydia, and we still have to work on the transition plan. We're not sure when we'll actually be moving her over. We don't want to leave Maplewood in the lurch, but hiring within certainly gives us an opportunity to have Nydia work alongside Kathy over there and make a difference. Let me tell you just a little bit about Miss Martinez Caro. She began her teaching career in first grade at Eaton School District. She was there for 8 years. And then she came over to District 6 and was a bilingual teacher at Salida del Sol Academy. And from there, she became an instructional coach at Salida. She eventually moved into assistant principal and then served as principal at Salida del Sol the last 2.5, 3 years of her time there at Salida. And then she came over to us, and so to Maplewood Elementary, where she's currently serving as assistant principal. And I will tell you, when I interviewed her as an assistant principal, I said to her, "Are you sure you don't want to be a principal still again? Are you sure?" And she said, "You know, at this time in my life, it's the right time for me just to take a little bit step back and to take the number 2 seat and not take on the responsibility of leading a building." Now, here we are a year and a half later, and she's ready to give us her over 15 years of educational experience and to lead as the principal at James Madison STEAM Academy. She attended the University of Northern Colorado, where she earned a Bachelor's of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies, and then continued on with her master's degree in reading from the University of Northern Colorado. And pending approval tonight, I know you will join me in congratulating and welcoming Nydia as principal at James Madison Pre-K 8 STEAM Academy. She's beaming only a little, it looks like, yeah. So we're excited about that, and I know we're very appreciative of Ramon Reyes, her principal at Maplewood, who's been very supportive of her and hates to lose her, but also wants to give her this opportunity. And then finally, I'll just echo, I think Ms. Mash, you mentioned the break. Maybe you did too, Mr. Matthews, but just we're coming up on a winter break here and some time down for our students and staff. And I do hope all of you will find time with your families and your friends, and you'll take care of yourselves. And just remember that routine is important. Try to keep some of those routines from school going while we're on break. And, you know, we are preparing family packets to go home for food packets out of our food pantries. With help from the Nutrition Services and Success Foundation, we will be providing some food support to families. We've also been doing a Toys for Tots drive here in the district office. And so there's a lot of need in our community, and there are a lot of people who give a lot to support the need in our community. So with that, I hope all of you have a joyous into this 2023 school year, and we will see you back in 2024.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch. Next on our agenda is Innovation 2030 Update, Student Learning and Achievement, School and District Plan Types. So I see Dr. Dattery coming to the podium. Dr. Pilch, is there anything you need to say before we give this over to Dr. Dattery?
Just real quickly, President Matthews, that this is an Innovation 2030 update because we're giving you data and information related to goals in our strategic plan. However, later in the agenda tonight, the last item is for you to actually take action on the school performance frameworks, which the Board of Education has to do. So, but as Dr. Dattery presents today, if you have questions right after the presentation is fine, and later on when the item comes up for your consideration, you can ask questions then too if you didn't get them early on. But thank you, Dr. Dattery.
Thank you, Dr. Pilch. President Matthews and members of the board. As Dr. Pilch shared, I am going to give you some information and some more in-depth information of how are these district and school performance frameworks created, what kind of goes into them in order to give our schools and our district an overall rating that we're presenting to you this evening. So first, I would like to provide just a little bit of background information about the accreditation system in Colorado. The state accreditation system actually became law in 2009. This system is a method for accrediting districts as well as schools across the state, and it provides guidelines for giving that differentiated support then through the way of our school unified improvement plans based on the accreditation category that schools and districts receive. Now, it's important to note, and I want to point out here and then again later, as Dr. Pilch was saying, the state actually takes action and accredits districts, and then districts accredit their schools, which is the item that you will take action on later this evening. And that said, while the district accredits schools, they do give us a performance plan type for each of the schools that we cannot increase any. We could have a different accreditation rating alongside it, but we do take the accreditation rating that the state gives us, and you cannot make that any higher, for example, than what they give. So that is coming later tonight for your approval.
There are key performance indicators that each district, as well as high school, in this case, are held accountable to. The breakdown for our district and high schools include 30% for academic achievement, 30% for post-secondary and workforce readiness, and then 40% on academic growth. So that's the breakdown for our school performance framework at high schools, as well as our district performance framework. And then our elementary and middle schools are also held accountable to a key set of performance indicators, and they include 60% then on academic growth and 40% on academic achievement. So in both, all three levels, or all elementary, middle, as well as high schools, and then the district, the greater percentage lies in academic growth. So I want to break that down just a little bit further for you all this evening. First, let's look at academic achievement. This is a set of indicators that are in average scores for our students on the state assessments are calculated for each grade that the students take, and that begins in the 3rd grade at elementary. For CMAS, as well as the Colorado Alternative Assessment for English Language Arts and Math, and further science in this coming year. Science is not on this year's because they have changed the assessment. So you do not see it in this year's school performance frameworks for that reason. And then Spanish language arts, students can take the Spanish language arts assessment if they're eligible in both just 3rd and 4th grades. And then further in high school, for academic achievement, again, the average scores for our students, the PSAT is what's calculated for 9th and 10th graders at the high school level, and that is both in evidence-based reading and writing, as well as math. Now, students are calculated in this academic achievement category for all students, as you can see, and then also it is tabulated out for disaggregated student groups. And those disaggregated student groups include free and reduced lunch, minority, multilingual, or English language learners, multilingual, and then students with disabilities. For reading at the elementary, there is now a 5th category, and that disaggregated group is for students who were previously identified as having a read plan. So they continually are monitored. So again, students that might be in any of these disaggregated student groups are also in the all students category. So they are students who might land in one of these disaggregated groups or in at least 2 groups, and sometimes more if they fall in more than one category. Then those same students will show up in academic growth. So this is the second indicator of performance that I just want to break down a little bit more for you. This is about the progress that our students make in their achievement on assessments from one year to the next. Okay, this is using the median, you've probably heard this before, the median student growth percentiles and percentages that our students need to meet so that we are seeing if they are on track to meet the targets in English language arts and math again. So this is calculated. Again, their median student growth percentiles are calculated in CMAS for grades 3 through 8 for English language arts as well as math, and then PSAT and SAT in both evidence-based reading and writing as well as in math. And again, it's calculated from their prior year and the growth that they're making from the prior year to the next year. So that begins in 4th grade because students are calculated on their growth from 3rd grade to 4th grade. And since 3rd grade is that baseline year, if that makes sense. And then they have academic growth calculations beginning in their 4th grade year. Okay. Additionally, under academic growth, there is another category. And this is about for students who take the WIDA Access. That is the assessment that students take if they are multilingual or English language learners. And what this is calculating is their growth that they are making to become on track to proficiency in the English language. So that is students who are learning English language, They will not only be calculated on English language arts and math, but also in this category for being on track to learn the English language proficiency, to get to proficiency. So that's all about growth. And again, kids can be in more than one category. Same child can be in multiple categories and counted more than once in one of these different categories. And then the third area, again, as I mentioned, this is on post-secondary readiness, just at high school, and then on the district performance framework. This counts for 30%. And this is based on these following factors, which indicate how well our schools are preparing students for college and for the workforce. So again, students are calculated in these different areas of graduation rates, dropout rates, and the averages of what they score on the SAT. And again, this is all students as well as disaggregated student groups that I mentioned earlier. I just want to go a little bit more into what do we mean by each of these different areas. Dropout rates are calculated beginning with students for the district performance framework. They begin with students as they enter into their 7th grade year, and then ensuring that they are staying with us and graduating by the time they become seniors. And at the schools, for our high schools, that begins at their 9th grade year, at the time in which they enter into a high school at 9th grade. So those are calculated as such. Graduation rates are counted on the best rate that they have is associated with either their 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, or 7-year completion. So their best rate is what's calculated into graduation rates. And there is a score that we get for that. And then the averages on the SAT is also in the different disaggregated groups, as I mentioned, and and they have a different cut score based on how well students perform on the SAT. And then matriculation is also included in the post-secondary readiness. And that is about students entering, as you can see, into college or career certification programs. So that includes 2-year and 4-year institutions, as well as career and technical education institutions. So the district calculates that. Then we are able to look at that as a district and kind of verify based on our records, and we can then submit additional data as appropriate if there's any other students that are in any of those 2-year or 4-year institutions or CTE programs. And if we also know that students enter into the armed forces, we are able to count them as well at that point in time. So it is included as long as districts then include that data as a part of the matriculation. There's one more category, if you will. It's not about performance indicators, but it is an important part to note as a part of the accountability system at the state, and that is that schools must have a minimum of 95% of their students test on math and English language arts in order to keep their accreditation rating at what they have earned. And if schools and or districts do not, then they will drop one performance level. And I'm going to talk about that with one of our schools here this evening. Not included in that participation rate, there are 2 categories of students who might not be included in that participation rate. Parent refusals, as long as they are documented, parents can opt their child out. Again, like I said, has to be documented. And that is a part of the revised accountability in revised statute that they are able to do that. And second, not included in participation, are students who are English learners and within their first year of enrollment within the U.S. They are not required to take the English language arts assessment, so that they're not included in participation as well. So, looking at the district accreditation categories, it's a little different than school. In district accreditation categories, we actually have 5. Again, this is what the state accredits districts with, either accredited with distinction, accredited, or accredited with improvement plan, accredited with priority improvement plan, or accredited with a turnaround plan. We are accredited with, we are at the accredited with improvement plan accreditation level. And we have always been at that level. We have not ever been at a lower level than that. So that is our current rating again this year. I want to just take a quick minute to share this chart with you. This chart outlines there are 33 districts on here from left to right in the state of Colorado, and these are all districts with over 5,000 students in their total population. And it is also showing then the percent of students who are categorized as having free and reduced lunch meals, and how that correlates then with the overall district rating. So the x-axis, as I said, are the schools. The horizontal axis are the names of the schools, and it goes in ascending order of the least to greatest percent of students who are then receiving free and reduced lunch services. The colors then indicate the performance framework plan type that they have from the state. So blue is accredited with distinction. Green is accredited, yellow accredited with improvement plan, and orange is accredited with priority improvement plan. There is no school on this list that is accredited with a turnaround plan. So you can see the top 10 schools that have over 50% of their of their students receiving free and reduced lunch. Only one of those is accredited, and the remainder are at accredited with improvement or priority improvement. We sit right here at 65%. 65% of our students currently have need of free and are on free and reduced lunch status, meal status. There are only 5 districts in the state of Colorado with greater need than our district. And you can see that we are at an improvement plan, and what we know about that is that there are so many more needs that come with students that are qualified for free and reduced lunch. So it's truly beating the odds when we are able to say we are accredited with an improvement plan. We have continued to support students educationally, and we'll continue to do so. Now I want to move into the different plan types for our schools that you will take action on. District 6, based on each school's attainment on the performance indicators, the Colorado Department of Education makes the recommendation, as I mentioned earlier, and then you all take action on whether or not these schools will implement a performance plan, an improvement plan, a priority improvement plan, or a turnaround plan. And as I mentioned, there's just these 4 different categories for schools, whereas there's 5 for districts. So these 14 schools are at a performance level. This is one greater than what we had last year at this same time. So schools that have been in this category for more than 1 year include Madison, Chapelo, McCullough, Brentwood, Prairie Heights, Early College Academy, Frontier Academy, Union Colony Elementary, and Union Colony Prep, and university schools. So there are several schools that have been at performance plan type for more than 1 year. We're proud of their efforts, and they continue to stay at that level. Now, schools that improved to this category, 1 level include, so they were at improvement last year and are now at performance this year, include Centennial, Martinez, Shawsheen, and Westridge. Again, proud of their efforts. And very pleased to share with you that Franklin Middle School was at priority improvement last year. They have improved 2 performance plan type levels and are this year at performance. So very proud of all the work. Now there are 13 schools on the improvement categories. So the majority of our schools are at the top 2 levels. These schools include Meeker, Mumford, Central West, Northridge, and Salida del Sol. All those schools have remained on improvement status for more than 1 year and are working toward performance this year. Schools that improved from priority improvement to improvement this year include Hyman Elementary, Bella Romero K-8, and Fred Chartis K-8 as well. It's proud of their work as they continue to make growth and achievement status. Now there are 2 schools that are in priority improvement this year. Those include Dos Rios. This is their first year. They dropped from improvement to priority improvement this year. And they have a plan, a unified improvement plan that we looked at earlier to address the things that they need to continue to work on. And as well as Heath Middle School is in priority improvement as well. And then these 3 schools are currently in turnaround. Scott Elementary, Maplewood Elementary, and District 6 Online Academy. Now, this is the school that I wanted to talk with you about. District 6 Online Academy was actually at a priority improvement status this year. There's definitely things that they are working on to increase achievement. They would have been at priority improvement, however, their participation was below 95%. So there were parents that did not officially opt their children out, but because it is an online school, they have to bring them to school, on school premises to take this assessment. This is not an assessment that can be taken while the child is at home. State law prohibits that from occurring. So they did need to bring them, and there were enough parents that did not actually officially opt them out, but really opted them out by not bringing them. But because we didn't have documentation, it did drop them a performance level. So we're really working with our families to help them to better understand what this is all about and why they really need to get their children here and take that assessment. And that's what we encourage all of our families, all of our students to do, and to do their very best. Finally, I want to share with you the accountability timeline. This timeline starts really back in August when CDE first shares the preliminary accreditation category for our district as well as our schools, to when it is approved by you all in December by either the state board or by you all for our schools or the state board for our district. It outlines how this accreditation category aligns to the district unified improvement plans, as I spoke of earlier, and all of those came before you in October and then are submitted to the state. And they're posted for public posting by October 16th of each year. So this timeline just kind of outlines all of that and how those two things really connect and weave together. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have at this time or at a later time.
Thank you, Dr. Dattery, for being here tonight and for that thorough explanation. And as board questions come in, I'll call on board members, and Mr. Azari is first.
Thank you, Dr. Dattery, for your time and your staff time on this. Just a question. It's been a while since I've been in on all this. This data on an individual student basis, is that shared routinely with parents, like once a year or whatever, so they know their own individual students' growth?
Yes.
And how their achievement
Yes, those
is.
reports are sent home once we receive those receive the official files on those in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Kempo-Spitzy.
Yeah, you mentioned an additional disaggregated group, students with a read plan.
Yes.
I'm just trying to translate that. Is that kids with dyslexia and?
So students who are identified as having a read plan are students who have a significant reading deficiency. And so those students are identified in any grade level from kindergarten to third grade. Once at third grade, that cohort is sealed, and then it's just about getting students to read at proficiency as determined by different assessments. So if they are reading well below grade level, that is considered having a significant reading deficiency. Therefore, they are put on what we call a read plan, and that is all legislated through the READ Act that we have by the state and the legislature.
And then another question with I think they're called the Unified Improvement Plans.
Yes.
For the schools on priority improvement and turnaround. Are there dollars associated with that?
Not dollars associated with that. There are requirements that we do need to meet within the district or within their school unified improvement plans. We would on the district as well if any school district is in any of those two bottom categories. There are requirements then that must be met. And then it makes you eligible oftentimes for additional grant dollars that you can then apply for. And that's how districts and or schools in this case can receive additional funding to help support them with their improvement efforts.
And do we pursue, have we been pursuing
We
grants?
do. There's different priority levels that different schools receive based on how many years they might have been receiving a category that is in one of those two lower categories, things like that factor into it. But yes, it is called the EASY grant, the elementary and secondary grant that we can apply for. And we actually just submitted that this last week, a week ago. And so hopefully we'll hear on that soon, and that some of our schools will receive some additional funding.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm fresh out of Educational Accountability 101
That's
from
okay.
CASB. And so during that session, which was for newbies, right? It talked about how do we use this data? How do we use these frameworks? And two things were brought up. One was to hold our superintendent accountable as a way to do an evaluation on your superintendent. Just reflecting on the fact that in 2014, I believe we had 10 schools on turnaround in District 6, and we're down to 3, one of them being kind of the D6 Online Academy, which
Correct.
was more, we wouldn't have been on turnaround if we had had more participation on the assessments. So I think that's a great use of the data to see how we're improving and to see that our leader, our superintendent, is doing a good job. And then the other recommendation that was brought up for the use of this data was to make sure that the schools that were in the lowest rungs were getting the support that they needed to come up. So yeah, thank you for applying for that grant a week ago, and hopefully we get it.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Campos-Spitzi, I'll also share that it is fairly typical for us to add additional staffing at schools when they drop into priority improvement or turnaround. For example, a dean of students was recently added at Maplewood Elementary School. We're paying attention to the difference that resources make in terms of school improvement. We have, Dr. Dattery's modest, we have received millions of dollars from the EASY grant, previously called the Turnaround Network grant, and have poured a lot of those dollars into school turnaround work in our district. And we've dedicated district dollars from general fund, title dollars to do that work as well.
Dr. Dattery, can I ask a question about a specific school? Is that appropriate? Okay. Maybe.
I know.
I'm just curious, and because I've been watching this data for a long time, and before I was on the board on DAC, and you would tell us, what stands out to you, what do you see in trend lines, and having watched it for a long time, and knowing that our elementary schools will sometimes go up and down by some big numbers, just virtue of the fact that there are sometimes 300-400 students that they're dealing with. So, that can change things more dramatically. But I don't ever see the high school numbers move that much, right? I mean, it's gradual, slow and gradual, and that's, we have 1,500, 2,000 students in a high school. So what stood out to me, one thing that stood out to me was Greeley West, and the fact that Greeley West jumped up like 6 points. And I just was curious as to what we might attribute that to. I don't know if you've been able to dig into that yet, and or if you could say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate. I was wondering if you were going to get to Greeley West, and I wanted to see if my colleague, Mr. Osmus, would like to come up, as that is a school that he directly supervises. There is some very intentional work that goes into what the schools are doing, and certainly, were you able to speak to that a little bit?
I think so.
Okay.
So that's a great question. I think, we have great teachers all across the district. What we've done the last couple of years is double down a little bit on planning. So we think about PLCs, these professional learning communities where teachers get together and they plan and they work together and they push each other to greater things. Mr. Cranston has been in that system a little bit longer than Northridge and Central with new principals. And so he is a little bit ahead of the other two when it comes to planning and ensuring success for every single kid. And so with the good systems they put in place there around planning and high level instruction, the others are following behind that. And so I'm looking forward to greater growth on the other schools as well.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a great surprise. That's hard to do
It very much is.
really hard to do in a student or in a school with 2,000 students. So, yeah.
Significant and good work. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from board members? Dr. Dowdery, I'm not seeing any, so thank
Okay,
you,
thank you.
for your work and for all of this in your presentation
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you.
Next on our agenda is our public participation. As a board, we welcome the comments of community members, and we dedicate a portion of each business meeting to provide an opportunity for the community to present brief comments. All speakers are limited to 2 minutes for comments. Our board members typically will not respond or engage in discussion, but we will ask our district staff to respond as appropriate. Written testimony or speaker handouts must be submitted to our board secretary, Ms. Amy Lemon, not to individual board members. This board is committed to providing a safe place and safe environment where all members of the school community are treated with dignity and respect, and we expect all speakers to exercise their speech rights responsibly. Speakers are responsible for their own speech, and speakers' remarks must be suitable for an audience that includes kindergarten through 12th grade students. Anyone who disturbs order may be required to sit down or to leave the boardroom. We ask all speakers and those in attendance to conduct themselves in a dignified and non-disruptive manner. Cheering, snapping, clapping, and other distractions are not allowed during or upon completion of any public comment. With that read, our first speaker tonight is Miss Ellen Foster. Ms. Foster here. Thank you for being here tonight, Ms. Foster. Welcome, you'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm jealous of some of the holiday festive attire I see. I wanted to address the trend for advocating for parental rights. There are 2 problems I see with the current parental rights movement. First is the question of which parents and over whom they should have control. Many want to exert their control from their own children to the entire district, thereby negating the rights of other parents. In District 6, parents have the right of school choice, right to opt their child out of checking out library books, and the right to vote for school board members. The second issue is that everyone went to school, public, private, or homeschool. So people tend to think they are experts in education. We wouldn't feel qualified to be a mechanic just because we drive a car every day. We wouldn't feel qualified to be an electrician because we flip the light switch and plug in appliances every day. Yet folks want to dictate what happens in the classroom. We have elected a school board which works with the administration to make decisions about curricula. These folks have the education, training, and resources to make these decisions. Let's let them do their jobs, and I thank you for the jobs you do.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Next tonight, we have Ms. Maria Foster. Thank you for being here tonight, Ms. Foster. Welcome, you'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Superintendent Pilch, President Matthews, members of the board, and student council representatives. At the beginning of this year, I set myself the task of reading all 15 books that were brought before the board a year ago, and challenged in the sense that some people wanted to put them behind a parental permission barrier. And I did not skip pages. I read all of them in their entirety from the beginning to the end. And I have to say, yes, there was some coarse language. There was some sexual content. But I wanted to read all the material for context because context is important. And I have to say, some of them I really enjoyed, some of them not so much. But I think it's important to note that we don't need just proficient readers. We don't need to just turn out students that are proficient at reading. We need to turn out students who can critically assess what they are reading. And if we never challenge students with material, it's going to be much more difficult for them to develop those skills. So reading some of these books, some of the things, the questions that I had that I thought I would have loved to discuss with somebody in book club or in other settings is like, what is the cost of conformity versus living authentically? What is the price of a lie when it spreads? What does family look like? What does a healthy relationship look like? What does a friend do? What happens? How do we forgive that friend when they don't come through for us? How do we forgive ourselves? There are lots of questions in these books. Some of them are more profound than others. But I just want to reiterate that I really don't believe that a parental permission is the way to go. They already have permission each individual has the permission to opt their child out. I don't feel that they should be able to force every person to meet that barrier. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Next tonight, we have Mr. David Meek. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Gates. Mr. Meek is not with us tonight, or had to leave. Next, that is all of our public comment tonight, so we'll move on to our consent agenda. And this consent agenda is an action item that will need a motion.
I move that the Board of Education of Greeley Evans School District 6 approves items as presented on the consent agenda and authorizes the officers to sign any and all contracts.
Second.
Thank you both. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Azari?
Aye.
Director Bentley?
Aye.
Director Campos Fitzie?
Aye.
Director Mash?
Aye.
Director Matthews?
Aye.
Director Norwood?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Next on our agenda tonight is our district accreditation rating. And this also, is this an action item? My computer's not updating. This is not an action item, okay, great.
No, the accreditation rating is not, it's an information item, and Dr. Dattery covered that pretty well in her presentation, but we're happy to take more questions if you have them, and then the action item is the school accreditation
School
ratings.
accreditation, okay. All right, now I see it. Any questions for Dr. Dattery? Dr. Dattery, I do think we might have at least one, so I'll invite you to come back up. And Ms. Mash.
Sorry, I could have asked this earlier. You just mentioned that we have always been at accredited with improvement plan.
Correct.
And I was just curious how many years, and that's okay if you don't know. That's just kind of where we have
Honestly,
landed.
since it started, 2009 is the year that this went into action, and that we've been accredited since 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, with that improvement plan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Mash.
Thank you.
Mr. Bentley.
Yeah, I was looking at the graph earlier, and it seems like one of the top 5 or one of the school districts with more than 50% free and reduced meals. I can't remember which one exactly it was, but one of them is accredited in the green, right?
One.
Have we thought about like reaching out and seeing what's working there, and maybe kind of working with their school and district and seeing maybe we get some ideas to. Or is there anything like that been done or in?
If they have 54% of students
Yeah.
in that plan type, it's Harrison School District. And yes, we've worked and talked with them over time. Kind of a lot of the work that they do is similar in some aspects within curriculum and instructional practice. Certainly some things are different, but yes, that is always things that we're doing in terms of collaborating. A lot of our directors, as well as at my level, we work in different committees and things, so we actually have different opportunities to kind of collaborate on district teams and things like that as well. So you make a good point, and that kind of continues, and certainly something we continue to do. One of the things that will really help us to get to that is getting our high schools there, and I think we're very, very close to having our comprehensive high schools in those categories, and continue to have that kind of work and support.
Ms. Mash.
Sorry, it just keeps jarring the question. So I believe we worked with CDE for a specific school. Do they offer assistance for entire districts or just school-based at, school by school? And I assume maybe that's only if you're sort of at that very bottom level.
Yeah, the work with the CD has typically been school by school.
It is.
Because we are not at turnaround district, we would not qualify for district-wide improvement, and we don't want that. We don't want that support.
Yes,
Just for the record, we don't want that support. Because when that does happen, it's similar to what happened in Adams 14.
Right.
It's similar to where District 6 was a couple of decades ago, when Dr. Renee Dreyer came in as superintendent and the entire district had been put on watch. So the supports we've taken advantage of through CDE have been very helpful. We've also done a lot of work through other networks besides just CDE. We're also currently working with the Colorado Education Initiative. and doing work with them as well, with our leaders and with some of the sites. So it's, it's all hands on deck. And but the really, I'll just tell you again, I think those of you who've been on the board for a while, you know this, it's really about not getting distracted and just really staying very focused on the right work and making sure that work is implemented with fidelity. And unfortunately, COVID distracted us significantly. And some of the things that have gone on in the district and right here in this boardroom have been distractions as well. And, what we've got to do at the cabinet level and the district leadership team level is just stay very, very focused on Innovation 2030 and the specialized work at those schools that need the most support, so that we don't get distracted, and then continue to analyze what's happening at a site. We know we're able to, in most cases, when a school does drop or we don't see an improvement, in most cases we're able to say, this is what was going on at that school, and we believe that's why we saw this decline and can attack that. I want to just say one more time, I know you all know this, we talked about it a lot last week at CASB, hiring high quality teachers and retaining them and leaders is the most important thing we can do. We've got to have people in our buildings who can lead this kind of work, and then they've got to have the people in front of the students who have the will and the skill to do that, or develop the skill to do that, and to keep them here. Turning over teachers, and we've seen it in some of our schools that have had significant teacher turnover, we will see a decline. And every time, we change a principal, we will often see a decline. And so it's just super important that we stay focused, and we stay focused on the hiring and retaining of quality folks.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I think I should have said that as well. Like when we get together to look at the data individually when it first comes out, that is something that really impresses me, is that Dr. Dowdy and Mr. Asmus, like your teams know exactly what's going on in each building. You understand the culture, you understand the leadership, you understand the makeup of the staff. And we're also pulling from our schools that have been at performance for many, many years to see what they're doing well. So we're big enough to use some internal help, or internal elevation as well. So
absolutely.
Mr. Bentley.
I think I'm going to save it for the next thing. Sorry, I buzzed in a little early.
All right. Okay. Any other questions or comments for Dr. Dattery or Dr. Pilch on this agenda item? All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Dattery. We may need you again, but we'll start that. Next on our agenda is school accreditation ratings, and this is an action item that needs a motion.
I move that the Board of Education of Greeley Evans School District 6 approves the school accreditation ratings as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion, any questions on this agenda item? We've been discussing this, or had a couple of opportunities, so there might not be any. Mr. Bentley, did you have a question? Okay.
Yeah, this was the one I just was looking at the graph of the change that was provided in our agenda, and there are a lot with significant gains year to year. 22 to 23, but the ones you highlighted, Maplewood and Scott, and the ones that have dropped significantly.
Correct.
You guys have already assessed why and have a plan, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just, like in my business, every time I see a major gain or decline of anything, it's usually numbers, but.
No, those were good. Those were significant drops both schools experienced. In fact, and when we presented the school unified improvement plans, really shared at that time, and again, just really looking at the very thoughtful supports, things that they are working toward. Maplewood is a 21st century school, so really looking at what additional supports they can also put into place in terms of after-school programming, community school work that they are doing. And Scott Elementary, noticing, what Dr. Pilch shared earlier, and I think we spoke of this at one other time, there has been in the last few years some pretty significant staff turnover at Scott Elementary from where they were and to where they are now. And we're seeing that. That said, we have a strong leader in place who has analyzed a lot of that data, has put some supports in place to support his teachers. They are doing, looking at their data, they're making progress and growth. This is kind of that interim, they look at all their interim data along the way and making growth toward that as they are, preparing for their students to take another yearly exam, knowing that it's kind of a one-time. I think part of what we have to also recognize in this is that it is a one-time-a-year assessment that these students are taking, and all of these scores rest on that. All of these ratings, rather, rest on their test scores. So, just really propping them up and giving them all the skills that they need to perform. A lot of growth that'll be calculated in that for them.
Yeah, Scott is the one that stands out the most, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the biggest drop, but it's a 50% decline roughly.
Correct.
On the flip side, that takes 100% to get that back, right? That's a
Right.
big, try to get back to where we were. We got to double it. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure you all have top, but
No, I appreciate the question.
Yeah, I think one of the conversations that Dr. Dattery and Ms. Rossmith and I have been having and need to continue to have is this: what are the supports we provide when there is an administrative turnover and significant teacher turnover? And so, Scott lost an assistant principal who had been there for a few years, who was a great partner to that principal there. There was a change there last year, and then Maplewood, both the principal and the assistant principal had left Maplewood, and so it's not blaming the new person who came in. There's just some momentum you lose when you change leadership. The staff become more anxious. They become more worried about things that they weren't worried about before, and they get distracted from what's happening in their classroom every day when there is a change in leadership. And so, leadership matters. It's a big darn deal who's leading our schools, and I'm very proud of the leadership team we have. I think we have the finest in the state, and our job is to prop them up and support them so they can do this important work.
Any other questions from board members? Comments? Not seeing any. Ms. Lemon, will you give us a vote, please?
Director Azari?
Aye.
Director Bentley?
Aye.
Director Campos Spitzy?
Aye.
Director Mash?
Aye.
Director Matthews?
Aye.
Director Norwood?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We appreciate your presence, and again, best wishes to our students as they take exams. Best wishes to our teachers as they conduct holiday parties, and happy holidays to everyone. The meeting is adjourned.